do you guys think we're done making moves in the offseason as the Browns, now that DeAndre Hopkins seems to be a long shot, according to Mary Kay?
I'll let you guys go.
Do you want me to answer, do I think they will be done?
Do you think they're done? And if not,
done?
what moves should they make?
I think they are done.
Okay.
Hopkins made a lot of sense. He had the connection with Deshaun.
Right.
The wide receiver room, we think, is much better this year. But we know what Amari Cooper is outside of Cooper. No one has shown, that top-tier talent and production. DPJ was solid last year, and solid will take. Elijah Moore is obviously uber-talented, but didn't work out in New York. Cedric Tillman's a rookie. Marquise Goodwin's fast, but that hasn't translated to, tremendous success on the field for a number of different reasons. So I thought on paper, Hopkins at least made sense to solidify that room. And I know you said you didn't think they needed him. If he was an upgrade that helped them win one extra game in the AFC, that one game could be the difference in making and missing the playoffs this year. So I thought Hopkins would have been the move if they're going to make one. So I don't think they will. But for the sake of this argument, and once again, this is not going to happen, but for the sake of this argument, if they were going to make one more move, I have 3 names that I think make sense.
Okay.
2 are pass rushers, and 1 is Dalvin Cook, who we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook's not going to come here. He wants to be a starter. He is going to Miami, so there's not a chance he comes here. But if I'm Andrew Berry, I'm making the call. And there's 2 reasons why. 1, we are 1 injury away from Nick Chubb getting hurt and having an unproven guy in Jerome Ford.
Take that thought out of your mouth.
Who I really like. But being the bell cow back for a team whose offense should be one of the top 5 to 7 in the league.
But he's getting 17 carries a game. I mean, he should last 30 years.
Running back's a very up and down position.
Kids.
It is not anything against Nick Chubb. It's just durability in the league at that position is very hard to sustain, and he's been tremendous at it. But the reality is we're 1 hit away from having Jerome Ford be our starting running back. So, and I'm okay with that. But if you could bring in Dalvin Cook for super cheap, 4-time Pro Bowler, 4,300 yards, I would do that. But the more realistic options that I think if they are going to make a move make sense would be 2 pass rushers, either Justin Houston or Melvin Ingram. Basically because, A, they're on 1-year deals. They're mercenaries. Jim Schwartz loves to rotate defensive ends and defensive linemen. Houston had 9.5 sacks last year. And if you're telling me, even if he plays 5 to 10 plays a game, that's it. 3rd down, 3rd and long, you put an extra pass rusher in, and then you have a defensive line of Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Obo, and a guy like Justin Houston who's big enough to rush from the interior or the outside, as just an extra rotational chess piece. That's the move I like to see them make, but I do not think they will end up making any more moves before we start training camp.
Well, you know what? I'll give you my thoughts on it. I just, some of you may have heard me. I just bought a house. And the crazy thing about buying a house is, they tell you to save your money and you got to have a certain credit score. And you do all of this saving, right? You do all of this saving and you can't spend any money. They check your accounts. They say, don't you take no money out of these accounts. We need to see screenshots of everything you've done.
And they climb up it.
So they send you send them regular. So now you start to see, you're like, wow, look, I'm being fiscally responsible. My debt ceiling is better than the Republican Party's. my debt ceiling is looking good. Now you check your report, but then you get the house, right? And so then they take the restraints off. So you've already been, you that 30-year mortgage means you all in. That means you will be here paying for this come hell or high water.
For 30 years.
Now.
Till you're 70.
Till you. So my thing is, they say, well, G. Bush, man, well, you got the house. You can't go back but in there and get a bunch of new furniture. Because guess what? You get new furniture. Now you got the house. You got to pay on the furniture stuff. And you start to think, you say, but I'm supposed to pay on this till I'm 70. At what point in time am I going to enjoy any of this? So why am I saving this money and going to the thrift store and buying secondhand furniture? Why am I going around here messing around, getting appliances from your next door neighbor in an apartment building? No. If the house costs a certain amount, the furniture has to add up. And guess what? The house that the foundation that the Cleveland Browns built their house on is $250. It's $50 million and it gets the cap. That is Deshaun Watson. So at any point in time, because he is the house and you can't get out of that, you can't just give a house back. Nope. No, you're going to pay on that. That's called foreclosure. You can't foreclose. Guess what? You always in the business for looking for home improvement McNuggets. You might want a deck. You might want siding. You might want a little bit den in the basement. So you always looking for, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, give me that because I want to enjoy it until I'm 70, right? So the Cleveland Browns should be looking all the time. They ain't got to break the bank, but it's okay to go look for vases and it's okay to go look for a recliner once in a while. Hey, you want a TV? Your TV is 55 inches. You say, I want one of those 70-inch TVs like Jay. I'm gonna be somebody, right? But I gotta save up a couple weeks for that. He just go get his. But the reality of the situation, the Browns actually have the money. So they can just go get theirs, right? Now next year you might not have it, but it's a long outdrawn analogy about why the Browns should always be aggressive because you told us that you was buying the house.
Jay, before you answer, can I make one more tiny point off G's to go to you? So I mentioned Dalvin Cook, and once again, he's not coming to Cleveland. He's not. Like, they're not probably going to make the call.
No.
Andrew Berry doesn't value running backs. We've seen that. Kareem Hunt's still out there. Ezekiel, like, running backs are not in the same.
They're not like wide receivers.
They're not buckets where you need them. So I get that. But I'm just saying, Miami and Denver, the two teams that he's rumored to be interested in, that have interest of bringing him in.
They both could use him.
They both could use him a lot more than the Browns because they don't have
in Miami
because they don't have a Nick Chubb.
I don't like Miami
And
as
those
it is right
are two
now.
teams.
No, but you put a running back on there.
No, I don't like
Oh, I see
seeing
what you're
him.
saying. Yeah,
I'm scared
No,
now.
And my point is, those are two teams that
can make real moves with a
can
running
make
back.
moves with a running back,
Yep.
and they are in that same category of teams with the Browns of you have the Chiefs, based on what they've done in the last 2 years, the Bengals, Bills, and then you have 4 through 6, 7, 8, 9 that are all fighting for 3 or 4 playoff spots. And yes, he's not coming to Cleveland. I do not expect him to even make a call. But you might as well kick the can and see if he has any interest in playing with Nick Chubb, because if not, he's going to go to a team that you're fighting for a playoff spot
That's a good
against.
point. That's a really good point. I'll piggyback off what you said. So if you're going to use the house and the Browns analogy, the owner of the house, the Haslams, just went to Milwaukee and bought a vacation house.
Yeah, but they also just got paid from Messi.
Fine. Great. Guess what? Before you go buy a vacation house in Milwaukee, why are you buying a vacation house in Milwaukee?
Yeah, that first of all.
But you just bought a second home in Milwaukee.
AKA timeshare almost.
There's a rule, okay? Before you can own 2 homes, 1 home should be a palace.
Right.
It should be everything you want in a home.
Right.
That's their first home. And they're the landlord and we're the tenants. We're living here. We ain't going anywhere. Get your first home in order and then go buy a second home.
Right.
They've already got, and by the way, they got a 3rd vacation rental in Columbus in the soccer team.
Which just skyrocketed in value, by
Of course
the way.
it did.
They just made Messi,
Tons of money.
Messi, we talked about it in overtime yesterday. Messi going to Miami is so much money for Jimmy Haslam. That's good for Browns fans.
It is, but that's a temporary boost. Like Messi's at the end of his career. He's probably still, by most counts, the best. But he's in the conversation for the best players in the world.
Yeah.
How much of a windfall that's going to be long term for the league, we don't know. But what could happen is he could draw other big name players from Europe to come here, and the whole idea is to boost the league up all at once.
And that's just essentially.
But I've
in
seen other
relative
times
terms,
when
makes
Beckham
money.
came, it was going to change life in
Yeah,
soccer
but
in America.
We thought this in overtime. We don't have to get back into it. There's a difference in Messi and Wayne Rooney coming because they were past their primes. And Messi is not in his prime, but he just won the World Cup. He was the best player on a World Cup
Yeah,
team.
but
and he's still.
make no mistake, he's at the end of his prime.
Yeah, but he's still like today a top 3-4 player in the
He
world.
is.
He
When
has,
Beckham
what,
and
3
Rooney-
years
But
tops?
you see him
Mike-
coming here if he's 24 and the top player in the world?
No. But when Beckham and Rooney came here, they were
They were
significantly
older, too.
past their. Yeah, but they were way
I don't know,
past
how
their
old
prime.
was Beckham when he came here?
I'm not
I'd have to
take
look it
age
up.
out of it, but
Yeah.
when David Beckham left, he was not in the top 5 players in the world.
Yeah,
No,
remember, Messi
Messi
is coming
still is.
off of a World Cup win against the second best player in the world.
I
who
get
scored-
that.
Yeah.
I get that. I just, I think that's a short-term boost. I hope it helps.
It's
I hope
money.
it helps.
And any money's
helps
money.
MLS
Any money's money.
raise up to a new level. But unless he's selling the team today, I don't know that. If he holds this team for 10 years, Messi will be out of the league for a long
Yes.
time by then.
I'm not
so I
arguing
don't know. Your analogy: get your house in order, then go
Right.
buy a vacation house, and then fix that one up.
Yeah.
But get this one to where it's a palace, and we're living in it. We're the tenants. We have to deal with this. So, I don't think they're going to make any more moves. I don't. If they were going to, and I talked to Jim Donovan yesterday also about Deandre Hopkins. What do you think? He's like, if he comes here, it'll be at the Browns' price, not his.
Yeah.
So Unfortunately, I don't think it'll come to that because I think someone will end up, and they always do, someone's going to need a wide receiver, whether it's to start the season or 3 weeks in, a top-tier wide receiver goes down, and his paycheck just went way up.
And Odell Beckham Jr. helped a lot of people.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I mean, people was laughing at him being out in Arizona, going shaking hands with the owners, and
it worked.
And they were like, Odell is out here
got all his
with
bread.
a "we'll work for free cheese" like sign. Like,
Yeah.
And then guess what? He got $15 million, and all the rest of the receivers was like, well, hold on now.
Yeah.
I was going to take a discount, but I'm better than him, and I'm more durable.
Yeah.
I think I can get X, Y, and Z. 'Cause guess what, Jay? Like you said, somebody going to get hurt.
Someone will get hurt.
Someone
Even
will
if he
get
sits on
hurt.
the sidelines and he just waits. And Ndamukong Suh waited to sign late last year. Somebody's going to have a desperate, we need a guy now. Jamar Chase is going to go down, or this one's going to go down.
Or teams not playing as well as they should. They thought they were
Right.
contenders.
They need another receiver. So he'll be smart. He'll wait this out. I don't think it's going to be here in Cleveland. I still say, and I maintain this all along, and I know that you've upgraded dramatically your defensive front, which by proxy should make your linebacking core better. For me,
that's the one glaring.
when you look at the where's the glaring weakness? Because there's a saying in pro sports: you're as strong as your weakest link.
Yep.
Our weakest link is our linebacker room, and I know that everybody in football wants to deprioritize the position, but there's 3 of them for a reason. Sometimes they go with 2, but they are very important. And when you look at all-time great defenses of all time, what do they all have in common, G. Bush?
They got linebackers that tackle.
Derek Brooks, Ray Lewis. Look at the Bears linebackers that they
Singletary.
have.
Even
So it's a staple for great football teams, and we have basically said we don't need them.
So
we don't need them.
While I agree with you, I don't know who's out there at the linebacker
You know
right now
what
that
pisses
makes
me
him
off?
better.
I'll tell you right now, nobody. But last year the Ravens went out and got Smith.
Okay, that's
Middle of the season, trade-
totally different.
Yep.
I'm just saying, like right now, if you say like what's the roster of linebacker they can make to improve
No,
this
I
team
know.
in 2023, there's just no one out there at
It's
this point.
thin pickings, but I'm telling you, last year we were going into the season saying, who are our wide receivers and who are our defensive?
That's fair.
Who's playing up
That's
front?
fair.
And you know what? Guess what got us in the end? The Achilles heel was the defensive line. There was nobody there, and we had said when they broke camp,
Yeah.
I'm excited about this team, but who's going to tackle guys?
Yeah, that's fair.
And who's going to get after quarterbacks other than Myles Garrett? And so now, that position now is all linebacker. Like, all of our linebackers on the roster were on injured reserve at the end of last year.
all of them.
Totally valid.
So we're gonna hope that a Band-Aid first aid crew at linebacker is gonna all suddenly be healthy and outstanding just because we upgraded the defensive front.
And that's
And
why-
we might be at week 8 saying they missed on linebacker. They closed their eyes on that position, and that's what's getting us.
That's why I said they should not be done. You're supposed to still be looking because guess what? I can't. You got Anthony Walker, you got JOK, you got Phillips, you got Taki. These guys have been injured at some point every single year. So for me, it's wishful thinking that all of a sudden they're going to make
Me too.
Just
They're gonna all be healthy and play great.
all be healthy, right? And then you know, here's another thing we don't take into consideration. When you coming off of major injury, it's a 2-year process.
Yeah, the psychological
It's
is
a
there
2
for the
it's-
next year. And so all these guys are coming off season-ending injuries.
Yeah.
And we're just to expect that we're going to wave this magic wand. And I don't get it. I don't understand how, a great team is strong in every area. Like when you look at baseball, your World Series winners, they've got good pitching, they've got good hitting. They might not be extraordinary in any one of them, but they're top tier in both.
No glaring weaknesses.
The Browns have this flashing red light neon sign,
Right.
linebackers, and that's all I see. And to your point, Mike, there is no magic move that you can go out and make. But they knew last year at this time that this was a weakness, and they knew the Bears were ready to move on from Smith, and they let a team in our division that finished ahead of us last year go out and get him, and he made a huge difference in that defense.
So I'll pitch you guys a linebacker move then.
Okay?
Not sure if it's feasible. I have no idea what the price is, but we know Arizona's completely selling.
Yes.
They've cut Hopkins.
Their goal is to
They're
get the
getting
number
rid
1
of-
pick next year.
Caleb Williams, you are an Arizona Cardinal next year.
Right.
So they're terrible. They just declined, or not just, but when the 5th-year options had to be picked up, They declined the 5th-year option on Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker they drafted, I believe, either 7th or 9th overall from Clemson a few years ago. He was a versatile defender. He was a little too big to be a safety, a little too small to be a traditional linebacker. But in college, he was one of the most versatile prospects we had seen coming out of the college ranks in a long time. I don't remember the exact breakdown, but he played 40% of snaps at the inside linebacker. He rushed the passer 20% of times. They could drop him into coverage. He's not Roquan Smith.
No.
But at least
he's an upgrade.
At least in college, this dude was a versatile
I want to know what the price is, but yeah. And by the way, he's not the only guy in that category.
No, but the Cardinals declined his 5th year.
Right.
I'm sure. I don't know what they take, but like, they're not going to re-sign him. So with a 4th-round pick, maybe. I don't know. I'm asking, but that's a guy maybe that they could bring in to help.
Well, I would hope. Every time Kevin Stefanski talks, he says, our football team is, Andrew Berry's job every day is to be looking at ways to make our football team better. Well, the way they can make this football team better is take an area of need right now that is a glaring weakness, and bring somebody in that's going to shore up the position. And maybe they're confident that they already got that player on roster, and maybe they're hoping that these players are suddenly going to all be healthy and stay healthy. Because to your point, when you have a season-ending injury, the psychology of coming back from that is oftentimes bigger than the actual physical.
Gene knows better than anybody.
Yeah, you do.
Man, you don't, because what happens is you're not training to get bigger or faster or more explosive. You're just training to learn how to walk again. Like, you got to think about it. You're doing 8 months of rehab to walk straight, to run straight, and to strengthen your legs up to a point where you can now be functional enough to play. That is not enough in the league at the highest of high when guys – I realized after I tore my second ACL, everybody has hopes, dreams, and aspirations. When I tore my second ACL within 18 months, 16 months, second ACL. I just got done rehabbing this one and then tore the other one. I knew it was a long shot. It was over because I looked at it and was like, okay, well, even if you say I'm on a MAC level and I feel like I'm one of the best players in the MAC, you already were going to have to be elite when it came to.
You have to be a standout.
You have to be a standout.
Yeah,
and
like MAC kind of player.
Yeah, you got to be dominant and your numbers got to look great and your production. So I said, okay, well, you missed a whole calendar year. Now when you come back, you're going to be rotating because they're not going to play you 100,000 snaps. Now you didn't even get to you didn't really get to train to get better. You just trained to get back. And now you tear another ACL. That's a whole another 8 months. So
now you don't have a strong side anymore either.
Now you don't have. You just you got to learn to play with less explosion. You got to do some different things to augment your game. And it's just like everybody else has been training for 2 years. You can't give a leap.
And the fear, too. So, these guys, all these guys, too, this is their livelihood.
Yeah.
And, an injury for, a weekend warrior sucks because you lose a year and you have to rehab to come back, but you can still come back and play the game you love. These guys know now, I don't know that I'm going to be good enough to get another paycheck to stay in the league. So it's a fear of getting re-injured is always in your mind. So are you really, truly ever going to be that player in that first year back that you were the year before? Because you're holding back. You may not know it, but you're not all gas, no brakes. That can be a problem.
Unless you're Adrian Peterson, who gets two.
Well, he's a freak. He came back in like 6 months
from
an ACL.
And was good immediately.
And was great again.
Good immediately.